Recording.
I'm tired. Hello there. How are you today? Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. So what I like to do first is this. First I'll ask you, are you ready to get started?
Yes, I have some sample problems that have been like kind of giving me some trouble.
Okay, sure. Talk to me about that.
So I have them on my computer, so hold on. So one second. Okay, so for example, like when it says on an 8% straight term loan of $6,071, the borrower paid total interest of $1,700. What is the term of the loan?
So
I wonder if I can copy and paste it to you on the share screen.
you could put it in the chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll put it in
or if you give it to me slower, I could write it down.
Here, I'll put it in the chat.
So
there it is.
Okay, so let me just see. Okay, chat. Okay. On an 8% straight term loan. Okay. Of 6,071. Okay. The borrower paid a total interest of $1,700. Okay. What is the term of the loan? Okay. So if we figure it out this way, let me just see if I could do the math the way that I'm doing, and then I'll see if so. Do you have the answer as far as the number is concerned?
Yes, let me see if I can find it.
Because I'll match it up with what I'm getting and see if we're coming up with the right number.
Let's see, hold on one second and see if I can find it. One second. No, that's not what I wanted. 42.
Okay.
42 months.
Okay, let me see if I'm getting that. I may. Bear with me 1 second, and I'll be able to tell you.
Yeah, no, take your time. I can't do it all. So.
40. Yep, I'm getting 42. So, I'm getting 41.99. So essentially, I'm getting
Right.
40. So let's work this out. And what I'll do is, so can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's work the math out here. Okay.
Mhm.
So what it said, and I'll show you. So it said that we had an 8%. Let me just erase that. We had an 8% loan, 8% interest on $6,071. Okay. So this is the principal. Okay, this is the interest. And it said over the life of the loan, you paid $1,700 in interest. Right?
Correct.
And then it said, how long is the loan? Okay. So what do you think your first step would be in this situation?
So 8% interest on 6,071 principal. So figuring out what 8% is.
8% of those. So that's perfect. So that would be step one. Okay. And now, so if you would do 8% times 6,071, what would you get?
Hold on, I got to do it on my calculator.
Sure.
485.68.
Yeah, so you get 485.68. Now, the key to this is understanding what is that? What is that?
So that would be, is that the interest?
Be a little more specific there. So that is the interest,
Like,
yes.
is that like what you like? So you have your payment and then you have like some of it that goes towards like the actual payment and some that goes like to think like that pays them for the loan, essentially. Is that the part that pays them for the loan, or is that your payment?
So this is I'm going to write down what this is, and this should give you the next answer. This is the annual interest.
Okay. So then, yeah, so then that is what you're paying them for the loan.
Well, yeah, that's the interest. So whenever you multiply the interest rate by the principal, you're getting annual interest.
And the annual interest is like what you're paying them for the loan, essentially, right?
Yeah, it's basically like the service fee. That's basically what interest is.
Yeah. Okay. So then okay, and then but okay, so that's the first step. And then I just don't understand how you figure out, oh, wait.
It's all in what I just told you it is. If you understand what this is, you can kind of figure out how do we figure out how long it is.
Would you, well, I guess you wouldn't divide by 12.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, I think you would have to divide by 12 because that would give you your monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
So 485.68. So do 485.68 divided by 12.
Okay. Divided by 12. So I get 40.47.
Yep. So 40.48. So rounding up is 40.48. And what is that?
That's your monthly interest.
Right. Okay. So what's your next step?
Are you going to take that and put it into 1,700?
Yeah. Because you want to figure out how long it is, right?
Yeah.
So you divide 1,700 by 40.48, which is the monthly interest, and you will come up with how many months the term is.
Okay, that's not so bad when it's broken down like that.
So here's what it comes down to. It's all understanding when you do the math, what are you getting out of it? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens is if you don't know that that's annual interest, you have no idea to divide by 12. You can't, if you don't know that when you multiply the interest rate by the principal, you get annual interest, then what happens is you can't figure out any of the other steps.
Yeah.
You're stuck right here.
Well, and I think my problem is I'm so self-conscious about my math abilities, like since I've been a kid. And so I don't trust myself. Like sometimes I know what to do, but I don't trust it.
Sure. I mean, what you have to do is this. I mean, it's a matter of, knowing it a little bit, but it's also, the confidence thing. It might be one of those things that if math isn't clicking, I always tell people with math, it's something that you don't need the math to pass.
Oh, that's good to know, because I'm doing pretty good with everything else except some of the damn math. I mean, obviously, like commission and that kind of stuff is easy, or like just basic like measurement stuff is easy because like that's just basic math. But
sure.
Okay, I have another one.
Sure.
Oh yeah, this one. Okay, except now I feel like I might kind of have a better grip on this one because of what you
Sure.
said, but let's see.
Sure. Tell me what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, so I'll have to go back to the chat.
There we go.
Okay, so let me write it down and then I'll put it on that one. So a house sold for 42,000. Okay, buyer made a 20% down payment. Okay, and then monthly interest on the loan was 252. Okay, what was the interest rate? Okay, cool. So let's write that all in over here. So we have a house sold for 42,000, right? So we're gonna write sale price. Let me just make it a little bigger, easy to see. Sale price, okay, is 42,000.
I wish.
Okay. Yeah, right. Nice house, huh?
Yeah.
And then we do 20% down. Okay. And the monthly interest, okay. Okay. Equals 252. And they're looking for the interest rate. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your first step here?
So maybe figuring out what?
There's a couple ways that you could tackle this.
Would you need to figure out what the down payment was?
Sure.
Or do you need to take, and I'm sure somehow we're going to need to find an annual amount too.
I mean, here's what it is. Neither one of those are bad places to start. So where would you like to start?
Let's start with the annual amount. Get it all on the same page here.
Sure. So what would you do?
So you would take, to find the annual, you're going to take 252 times 12.
Okay, 252 times 12. So what is that number?
And then you're going to get 3,024.
3,024. So, and what is that?
That's the annual interest.
Perfect. So, and always do that. The more you say it to yourself that what you're getting, the clearer your next steps should be. So what's the next thing? Okay,
then the next thing I think is to find out what the down payment actually was.
Okay, so how would you do that?
42,000 times 0.20. Okay,
so 42,000. Okay, and we'll just write that down there. 42,000 times 0.2 equals what?
8,400.
8,400. And what is that?
That is the down payment that they put down on the house.
Okay, so that's the down payment. So we have the down payment, we have annual interest. Now what do we do?
Oh, now we just have to find the rate. So we're going to divide one by the other.
Okay, what are you going to divide by the other?
I know that's what we're going to figure out. Okay. you're gonna take the 8,400 and divide it by 42,000.
What would you get from that?
And then multiply by 100 to get the percentage. Let's see, 1,400 divided by 42.
When you divide a sale price by a down payment, what is it that you're getting?
Oh, when you divide a sale price by the down payment, you're getting the rate? I
No,
don't know. Oh, wait, no. I don't remember what it is.
because that's nothing. That's
Okay,
just
then that's good, at
being
least.
divided by. So what did I say? Let me ask you this. You ready?
Yeah,
So far, everything you have here is fine. How did I tell you that you get the annual interest rate? How do you get that?
multiply by 12.
Well, that you multiply the monthly by 12. Yes.
Right.
So that's one that's if you have a monthly. But what did I tell you? Remember I said to you in the last question, I said, here's how you get the annual interest.
Oh, yes. Let me see. Can you remind me?
Okay, so what you would do is you would multiply to get annual interest. You multiply the loan amount by the interest rate equals annual interest.
Interest rate. Okay.
Now, let's do this. Okay. So, what do you think we're missing in this? What information are we missing?
So we found the annual interest, we found the down payment, but what we need to find is the interest rate. So you multiply annual. Oh, we don't have the loan amount.
We don't have that. No. So, what is the loan amount? How will we figure that out?
Well, we would take the down payment. Well, hold on. House sold for 40. Oh, well, we would figure out the loan amount by if they needed a 20% down payment, taking the difference of the down payment to the actual price of the house.
Yeah. So we would take 42,000 and subtract 8,400. So
let's see.
Tell me what that is.
That is 33,600. So that's the loan amount.
33,600, and that's the loan amount. Okay. Now, we know a couple things. We have everything we need to solve this problem. There's not another number we need.
So what was the interest rate on the loan? So we know that we've got the loan amount 33,600.
So watch this. I'm going to show you something. You ready?
Okay.
So you see this right up here? That arithmetic that I wrote out? Loan times the interest rate equals the annual interest. So let's plug in what we know and what we don't know. You ready? So the loan amount is 33,600. We don't know the interest rate. We're missing that. So we're going to call that X.
Okay.
Remember how we used to do algebra? We used to have an unknown number is X.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what else do we know? We know that equation, 33,600, which is the loan amount, multiplied by an interest rate that we don't know. So we're going to let that be X, right? Is going to equal the annual interest. So we know that. That's going to be 3,024. So
would this be a T-bar formula? Would this fit into a T-bar method?
Sure. But let me ask you this. Do you know what the part in the base and the rate is for this?
No.
Okie dokie. So then here's what we have to work with. You ready?
Yeah.
The reason, so this is what I'm going to tell you. Okay. The T-bar method is a tool. If you don't know how to use the tool, it's absolutely useless.
Okay.
All right. So it's basically like, it's like this, and always think about this whenever you say, hey, could this be the T-bar method? Hey, if you have the T-bar method down and you know how to identify the part in the base of the rate, yes, totally could use it. But if you don't know, then that's not going to help you, because you have to know where to plug things into. So
Yeah,
that's
that's a
why
good point.
what I'm doing is this. I'm doing a little different type of math with you, where what you're doing is you're trying to do some math as far as what you don't know, and kind of plugging things in and just kind of using it more so as an algebraic formula than anything else. You
Yeah.
see, because we know that the loan amount times the interest rate gives us annual interest, So on
Right.
this one, we know the loan amount because we got that from taking the down payment out. We don't know the interest rate because that's what we're trying to solve for. And we
Correct.
know the annual interest because we multiplied the monthly interest by 12.
Yes.
So now in this formula right here, what is the next step? How do we solve for X?
You do the opposite of multiply. So you divide. You would divide let's see. This is humbling. Oh dear. You would divide 30. Well, you're going to divide 33,600 and 3,024. So you're going to take.
Okay, so which one are you going to divide into which one?
You're going to take, you're going to divide, aren't you going to divide the 33,600 into the 3,024?
Give it a shot.
And I got 0.09.
9% interest rate.
Yeah.
What you do is this, you always divide to isolate X.
Right. And see, in the back of my head, I knew that, but did you see how insecure I was with that? It's ridiculous. It's like I'm traumatized from my math teacher.
Listen to me. This is really simple. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing. If I just told you to use the T-bar method, what you would have done is you would have tried to figure out the part in the base of the rate. So here's the thing. What I just showed you is T-bar, but we came about it a different way.
The way that I was comfortable with and that I was able to answer.
The way that we're kind of identifying everything and labeling everything, because it all comes down to labeling it. If you multiply, do you see how, because watch this, you ready?
Yeah.
With the little bit of work that we did, remember when you first said we're going to divide 8,400 into this? Okay. Yeah. And I said, okay, what does that give you? And do you see how you were just kind of perplexed with that? You're like, trash again, trash. And do you see how then we're like, okay, so let's pivot away from that, right? Because if you can't identify what the output is, the output's not going to help you.
That's such a good point.
If you can't, because what happens in this, when you multiplied 252 by 12, you got an annual interest. You're like, I know what that is.
Yes, true.
Then when you multiplied 42,000 by 20, you knew what that was.
Yep.
Okay. You said, that's a down payment. Then what happens is, do you see how, and also too, what I like to do with math is I let you, I guide you a little bit through this, but bottom line is I basically let you kind of work through this, and saying, because here's the thing, I would have started a little differently, but that doesn't mean that that's the right way for you. If your brain works, hey, let's do the annual first, boom, perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so interesting because I used to be, I'm coming from being an early childhood teacher. So I taught like third and under. And that's exactly how we're told to teach too, is like to just guide. And that's what helps someone the most. And that is what helped me the most.
Yeah. And that's why, because like I could shove, and here's the thing, in asking you, can you identify the part in the base and the rate? I basically knew that if you said, yes, I could identify the part in the base and the rate, we would have went in a totally different direction. Like we wouldn't have been doing this. Okay. I would have said, okay, let's talk about the part in the base times the rate, and I would have been like, okay, what do you know? I know that 3,024 is the part. And then I said, okay, what else do you know? this is the base. If you were able to identify those two things as a part of the base, guess what? Look at what we came to. Doesn't this look exactly like that?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but what happens is, do you see how when I asked you to identify the part in the base, you couldn't do it?
Yeah.
And do you see how in this one you could?
Yes.
And do you see how it's the same exact math? I just explained it differently.
Yes, but like I understand actually the way we did it better because that's what I know.
Because what happened was it was all, and that was all based off of the feedback that you're giving me in regards to trying to tackle a question like this. I think that this is really a good opportunity for you to really assess, again, what is going to be a good tool for you and not. It's like my father-in-law, he's an airplane mechanic, and I will never forget the look on his face. Now I have two left thumbs, so we do work in the house sometimes together. I will never forget the look on his face when I held a nail gun in my hand for the first time, and I said, "How does it work?" And he basically, it was the most mortified look. He says, "You do not know how to use that. Do not use it." And he looks at me. He made me put it down, and he looks at me right in the eyes, and he says, "Repeat after me. I will not use tools unless I know how to use them."
That's a good point.
And I said to him, I said, "I will not use tools unless I know how to use them." He said, "You are never to pick up something and then say, after it's in your hand, how do I use this?" So same thing with T-bar.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, if you don't know how to use it, it's not a good tool. Because you see, we got to the same exact math that we would have using the T-bar, but in this one, you understood that better than the T-bar.
Yeah. Okay, I have another one.
Sure.
You are really helping me. Oh my God.
Listen, that's what I'm here to do. So let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so the Pickett's purchasing a home for $78,000. Okay, and the lender is giving them a 90% loan. Okay, 90% LTV, at 10% interest. Okay, 10% interest, and 2% origination fee. Okay.
That 2% loan origination fee, is that like the points?
No, it's an origination fee.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. How much is the loan origination fee? Okay. So okay.
So they're purchasing.
So watch this. Let's do this. I'm going to go back over to my whiteboard in a second, and we're going to go through this. Okay. Because this question has a lot of moving parts to it. Okay. And we're going to go through and see if we could come up with a good way for us to tackle this. So let me write down what we know. And here's the thing, what I always tell students when it comes to the math, write down what it is that you know. Okay. So a home was purchased for $78,000. Okay. And always label it. Okay. Because you're going to write numbers down. And if you don't put what they are next to it, by the time you get to the end, like when it looks like that, you're not going to remember what each one was.
Yeah, that's okay.
Always label your stuff. Label your stuff. Think of it as a work refrigerator. You have to label your stuff so that you know what it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. Always, always, always. So this is the sale price. And then we said it's a 90% loan to value, right? That was the loan to value, was that. Then we said there was a 10% interest. Okay. And then we said 2% origination fee. And then it said, what is the loan origination fee? So we're looking for the origination fee. Okay. So they said, how much is that? Now, what do you think, now writing all this stuff out, what your first step would be?
I think the first step would be to find out what the price of the, like what the loan is.
Okay, so the loan amount. So how would you figure out the loan amount given the information that you have?
You would take 78,000 times 0.9.
Okay, so 78,000, which is the sale price, times 0.9 equals what?
One second, I'm doing it on my. $70,000. Wait, no, that can't be. 70,200? No. Hold on a second. I typed that wrong. Yeah, 70,200.
Okay, I'll just double check. Yeah, 70,200. Always, and here's the thing, I'm going to tell you this, always put your numbers into your calculator a couple times.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I did that, because I was like, huh.
Yep. So now what is that? Remember I said we have to label stuff. What is this?
That is the loan amount.
Perfect. Now what do you do?
Now you need to find out the interest that the pickets are paying.
Okay, let me ask you this. Once you find the interest, what are you going to do with that information?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, just curious. You know, like so what happens is, here's the thing.
They're just
You would have done
that math.
you would have done that math and then gotten to the point where, okay, what's my next step?
Yeah, I guess you don't really need that to figure out what the fee is. You just need to really figure out what do you just need to figure out. Okay, so 78,000. So you need to take the loan amount and figure out what 2% is on that.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's really not that bad. I was just like totally,
No.
I totally fell into the trap of not realizing there was too much information.
0.02 times 70,200, which is the loan amount, gives us what?
Gives us 1,404.
1,404, which would be the origination fee.
Yep.
Yeah. So listen to what I'm going to tell you. With math, do you see how when you label things, like here's the thing, as good as I am with the real estate math, I still need to look at this and see what I have.
Yeah.
Like when I see what I have, it kind of helps me out, because here's the thing. I just asked you basic questions like what, okay, so if you find how much the annual interest is, because that's what you would have been doing. You would have been multiplying the interest rate by the loan amount, okay? And you would have found out that the annual interest is somewhere in the ballpark of $7,000. So now, how would that have helped you get to the origination fee? Wouldn't, right?
No.
So you would basically, and here's the thing, if you didn't write out what it was, you might have sat there and said, oh, maybe that's another number I need to do. And maybe you would have been multiplying that by 2%.
And then I would have just been.
Yeah. So what happens is this, what you need to do is answer those questions. And here's the thing, you were the one who did all this. I didn't do any of this. You know, I did was ask you. So here's the thing, you could have that kind of feedback in your own head.
That is such a good point.
Because I literally didn't add anything to what you just did. I just asked you, okay, so here's the thing, the logical steps too, like if you want to know like how I usually do this when I don't know, I go, okay, so what am I going to do with it? So like I write out sometimes, if I say, okay, you know what, the first step is going to be the sales price multiplied by the loan to value amount. And then I ask myself, I say, Stu, what would that give me? And I say, that's going to give me a loan amount. So I'm already labeling it in my head. So I'm like, okay, that would give me a loan amount. Then what would I do? Then I know, move on to that step.
Yep.
So basically what happens is this. I'm basically saying to myself, right as I'm going along, I'm basically saying, okay, here's what I know, here's what I don't know. And I want to basically get myself to a point where I'm bottom line knowing what my steps are and where maybe there's extra stuff added in. But if you're labeling and you're doing all stuff like that, you're going to find out where all your extra stuff is. Make sense?
Mhm. No, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another one.
Perfect. Not a problem. Listen, this is good.
This is so helpful.
I'm so glad. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, I love these. Yep. So
These capitalization rate things, I don't know why. There's just like a lot of steps, and that's, I think, what's throwing me off.
sure. So let's take a look. So Mike wanted a cap rate of 14% if he bought Joe's property. Okay. So let me just write that down. That's the cap rate. Okay. And then if 3 units rented for, units rented for $450 per month. Okay. And then let me just write down per month. Then you had 2 units. Okay, at $550 per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 1 unit at $600 per month. Okay. $600 per month. Okay. What is the maximum amount Mike could pay in order to net the cap rate he wants? So we're looking for the value. Now, there is a formula when using cap rates that is going to help you.
Yes,
Okay.
and I, for some reason, cannot get this darn formula down.
You ready?
Yeah.
It comes down to this, and this is what I always say. Okay. It's called, so whenever I see an income, a cap rate problem, as soon as I see cap, okay, I do this. Okay. I write this out. Uncle Irv wears a cap. Income over rate times value. And this is basically a T-bar for cap rate. Okay. So listen to what I'm going to tell you. All right. Uncle Irv wears a cap. Now, watch what happens. Let's talk about what we know. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in what we know, and we're going to plug in basically this formula. So now watch what this means. And I'll show you how I use Irv, okay, in a cap rate problem, because I think it's very simple. Whatever you're looking for, you cross out. So let's say I'm looking for value. The remaining equation would be what you do. So income divided by the rate equals value. Now, let's say I was looking for the rate. Income divided by value equals rate. Let's say I was looking for the income. Rate times the value equals income. Now, I have every single thing that I could possibly want written out for me already. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, makes this question a lot easier. So watch what we're going to do. So we know that Mike wanted a 14% cap rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wanted a 14% rate. We know this as far as the rent. We have 3 units at $450. Okay. We have 2 units at $550.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 1 unit at $600. Okay. And we're looking for, now remember, we always write down what we're looking for too. The value. We're looking for the value. So in this situation, what would be your final step? Like, what is I'm going to just ask you that because we have basically everything written out. What would be the last equation you do?
The last equation that you're going to do is income divided by rate.
Income divided by rate. Excellent. So this is the last thing that you're going to do.
Yes.
So now let me ask you this. Do you know the income and do you know the rate?
You know the rate. The rate is 14%.
Okay, so we know the rate. So that would be plugged right in over there. Okay. Do we know the income?
Well, yes, but I mean, not like the actual, like, we need to do a couple little math steps here.
We need
But
to
we
do
know
a
the
couple
parts
math
of
steps.
it. We just
So
have to add it all up.
Why don't you add it all up and figure and tell me what the total number is that we're going to plug in for income?
So. With this math where it says 3 units rented for $450 per month, do you take that as all, like, each unit is $450 or all 3 together are $450?
So the question read, as you wrote it to me, 3 units rented for $450 per month. So I'm saying because it's saying 3 units, okay? I'm assuming that each one rented at that amount.
Okay, that's kind of what I was going with too, but I just wanted to I think
That's
the
how
wording,
yeah.
the wording could be a little better in that problem, but okay, so 3 times that, then I need to do 2 times 50, 0, and then I need that's easy. Okay, now I just have to add 1350 plus 1100 plus 600. Okay, so now I've got for income 3,050.
Okay, so 3,050. Okay. Now
Divided by 0.14.
Now that might give you the number you need. Might not.
Well, that gives me 21,785 and 71 cents.
So do you think that's the right answer?
What is the maximum? I mean, no.
Cool. So what do you think? Where do you think you went wrong? Because here's the thing, you have everything you need here.
Okay, and I took the income and I divided, maybe I got the wrong income, so hold on.
What's the answer?
Hold on, I have to see if I can find it. I don't know if I put an answer for this one. Oh, here. It is, 1 second. It's in my notes. The answer, oh gosh, 261,429.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot to multiply by 12.
Cool. Multiply by 12 then.
Okay, hold on. Well, that doesn't give me what I want, I don't think.
So listen to what I'm going to tell you. You ready?
Uh-huh.
This is the total monthly. Remember I said how important it is to label?
Yes.
Does that make it a little easier for you?
So I do need to multiply by 12 then to find his income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3,050 times 12 gives me 36,600.
Okay, now what would
I'm
you
gonna take, and that is the annual
Okay.
income. And then I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna divide 0.14. And I get it. 261. $6,428.
Do you see how? So let me ask you this, because I let you kind of go on that one because I wanted to
Yeah.
see. I wanted to see if you kind of got to a point where you were like, because what happens is, so a couple things about income. Income is always the net operating income. It's the net. So if they give you expenses, you have to take the expenses out of the gross. Okay. And it also is always the annual. Understand this, when we're talking about rates, interest rates, cap rates, we're going to be using those with annual numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see how when I label this, see, we didn't have the word monthly down there for a while, right? We had it like this.
Yep.
Right. And do you see how this changed a lot of stuff?
Yes.
Do you see how important it is to label your stuff?
Really important.
Even if you think it's a really simple equation, because here's what happened was I gave you a lot of tools with giving you Uncle Irv, right? And writing
Yeah, I
that.
like Uncle Irv.
Yeah, Uncle Irv is really simple, okay? Because what happens is, and here's why I like Uncle Irv versus part over the base times the rate, because what happens is it's hard for people to identify part over base times rate. That's why with most other math problems, I tackle it the way that we tackled questions similar to this one, right?
Yeah.
You know, but what happens is with the Uncle Irv on a cap rate, what happens is you understand it's actually the words that they use. They use the word income, they use the word rate, and they use the word value. So it's much easier for you to plug and play with that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's basically the situation there. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of
Okay.
sense. I have a question for you. I did your webinar yesterday, and you were talking about the different states and like just like which ones were hard and which ones were easy. Do you know if Missouri is hard?
Missouri's not that bad. It's not that bad. You take it in PSI, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, PSI. I think the PSI test overall is hard. So like I rank them pretty close. So, but here's the thing, you know, what you have to understand too is when it comes to the test, I think that, you know, you have to understand that it is a difficult test for various reasons. People that take it usually haven't taken a test in a very long time. It's a standardized test, and it's a very it's super you know, over 100 questions, standardized test, multiple choice. Yes, that is difficult to take one of those from a cold start. You know, so automatically I think every single one of them is difficult on some degree.
Yep.
Right? Like I think that there's not one, like there's like maybe like one or two that I'm like, yeah, that's a little easier than the others. However, that's just in comparison. You know, that's just in comparison. So that's really, you know, I think Missouri, you know, is it's a PSI test. So I think that all PSI tests are pretty are a little difficult. You know, it's just some a little more difficult than others. I think the Pearson View test is hard. You know, that's another state. So like I said, I don't think there's a super duper easy one. You know.
Yeah. Well, I wish I lived in California because then I wouldn't have to do math.
Well, here's the thing. I will tell you this. If you use the tools that I'm showing you, this is going to make it easier. You're going to basically what happens is this, you know, people who I actually have some California students who jump in on my math webinars and they're like, man, I wish I had math because the way you explain it, the way you break it down, this seems like it's something that I could get an easy 2 or 3 questions, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, so if you're, because here's the thing, you're in all of these questions, I basically nudged you a little bit, you know? There was nothing I did other than showing you this, you know, other than showing you, you know, the IRV, other than showing you that, there's nothing where I've really given you an overt amount of guidance in regards to the questions. So That's why you really have worked them out basically yourself. I'm just showing you how I lay out my math and how I tackle it.
No, that's so helpful.
And I think, yeah, I do think that's very important. And I think the importance in, like, again, something as stupid as where a lot of my students basically say to me, I don't need to label it, but they skip over that. They're like, I don't need to write down what that is, because they think that they could just blast through it. And then what happens is I then write down what it is, and they're like, oh, that's the monthly.
I can tell you what, from now on, this is the one of the big things I got out of this today, which I'm so glad, is the importance. It helps me so much to label it.
Labeling it, and like, do you see how, like, basically, like, these are problems that I've never seen them before. Like, this is the first time you're showing them to me. So literally my problem solving methods, I'm basically showing you real time, as far as that's concerned. I'm showing basically what I think is the is the way to approach it, as far as, because again, you could, like, do you see how you could basically tackle, once you have like a base foundation, you could basically build off that however much you want.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that's why I would say, bottom line, just the importance in really taking your proper notes. And do you notice how, too, I put what we are looking for? Because look, here's the thing. Once you write out Uncle Irv, right? And then what they're looking for. They're looking for value. So I said to you, the first thing I said, okay, what is your final step going to be? How do you solve for value? And you said income divided by rate. Boom. Perfect. Great. So do you know the rate? Yes. Do you know the income? No. We have to do some math. So do the math.
Yep.
Make sense?
100%. Do we have time for one more?
Of course we do. Absolutely.
Okay. This is like so helpful.
So let's look at the next one. Okay. Depreciation. Okay. Depreciated $3,000. Okay. For 15 years. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something about depreciation, just so you know. We could do this, but if you've passed your class, they're not going to ask you a depreciation on PSI.
Oh, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, they're not going to ask you. I've never seen. So let me rephrase this. Can they? Yes. Have I seen that as something, like, in all the states that I've taught? I haven't seen depreciation as something that they're really tackling. Cap rate, sure. So the first three questions you asked me, absolutely.
Yeah.
So depreciation, I wouldn't focus on too much, because I did a depreciation video maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because people were asking for it for their school tests, because their schools were quizzing on it. I haven't seen this. And again, look, email me if you see something different. But I haven't seen any of the students say on PSI that they've had a depreciation question at all. So
okay, what about this type of question? Frontage.
Okay, yeah, frontage. Yeah, this is definitely something you could see on the test. That is definitely something. So this is a much better one. So the length of the sidewalk is 200 feet, right?
Oh, I don't think this is frontage, actually.
Mary's property has 38 feet frontage. Okay. 38 feet for Mary's. Okay. If the cost of the project to be paid by special assessment is $7,000, what will Mary's assessment be? Okay. So it's $7,000 to pay for this. Okay. What will Mary's assessment be?
And special assessment is when you only pay it if it affects you.
Right,
correct?
but it seems like it's affecting Mary, right?
It is.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. So we'll talk about a couple things here, and I'll see if we could get through this question so that you can understand how to solve for this, because I think this is a good question, not only to for basically understanding special assessment taxes, but I think just in general. So it's a 200-foot sidewalk. So I'm actually going to draw it. Okay, you ready?
Okay,
So we're
yeah.
gonna say this is 200 feet. And it cost, okay, $7,000 to do the entire sidewalk.
Yeah.
Mary, okay, has a frontage. So what happens is this. You ready?
Yes.
Lots are done two ways. Okay. There are two measurements. There's basically the length and the width. So you have the width and then you have the length, right? But what happens in terms of lots, we refer to those as two different things. We refer to this as depth and frontage or front foot. Okay. So frontage is what abuts to the street. So now if this was and let me draw something else just to kind of illustrate this. If we had a wider lot that was more shallow, the depth would be shorter than the frontage. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's basically what it is. Two measurements, depth and frontage. Okay. So it says that Mary's is 38 feet. Okay. Now it says, what is the cost that Mary has to incur? So I'm going to say this to help you out. Special assessment taxes is paid out by the properties that benefit per their front foot. So it's basically whatever the cost per front foot is, okay, times their frontage, okay? So knowing all of that, how would you tackle this? What would be your first step?
So the first thing you need to find how much it is per foot.
Okay, so how would you go ahead and do that?
So you would take the length of 200 feet. Cost of property paid by special 7,000. So you're gonna take 7,000 divided by 200 feet.
Okay, 7,000 divided by 200 feet. So what would that give you? So if you do that math, remember we have to label. So 7,000 is the cost. Okay. So we divide that.
Sorry.
Go ahead. So what would that give you?
7,000 cost divided by the 200 feet gives you $35 per foot.
Mm-hmm. $35 per foot. Now, tell me the next step.
Now you're going to take Mary's property as 38 feet. So now you're going to take Mary's property, which is the 38 feet, and you're going to multiply it by the per foot of 35.
Go ahead and do that.
Sorry, I was late. 38. That gives you 1,330, so 1,330. So that's her assessment.
There you have it.
That's not even that hard if you do it like that.
Listen, all I did, I didn't do anything special. All I did was draw it out for you.
I just need to be drawing it out and labeling.
You see, because what happens is, what happens is this. Also, too, when you're doing a strategy like this, it takes away a lot of the, notice how this, I take away people's names. Really don't give to flying hootenannies that her name is Mary. Do you notice how I wrote not one name on this?
Yeah.
Names, I think, throw me off.
Yes.
Like they tell me, Rocky Road Construction Company did this and built that. Like, nope. Just give me the numbers. Just look. This one, Mike bought Joe's property. No. Give me the numbers.
Yeah.
Do you notice how I didn't do that? And now so here's the thing. This is a much easier question than, Mike wanted a capitalization rate if he bought Joe's property. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that is the situation there. So that is 100% going to be, basically how I would have you tackle it. Now, I have a question for you before we wrap up.
Mhm.
I think that you asked me some pretty fantastic questions, and I think that you got a lot out of this. And I think this would be good to share on the PrepAgent YouTube channel. So would you have a problem with me going ahead and putting that out there on the YouTube channel?
No, not at all. Not
Awesome.
not even a little bit. Um, does it matter that I copied these from another source?
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care where they came from, because I mean, look, change the numbers, change the names. I think that they're great questions, and I think that it's a good it's a good situation as far as that's
This
concerned. So
helped so much.
listen, I'm so glad. Do you have any other questions for me? Is there anything else that I could possibly do for you?
No, I mean, I do, but I will, we have a meeting tomorrow.
So I'll see you tomorrow then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you then. Okay. You have a great rest of your day now.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.